Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Super Subs Podcast. Your host, Harish and Narvin. Today, we will talk about some of the Premier League games that happened over the weekend, um, s- maybe some games across some other leagues, do a quick roundup of just transfers that have happened now the window is closed, and lastly, just touch on the FA Cup or not the FA Cup, Carabao Cup. Newcastle played today, beating Arsenal and moving on. But yeah, so as usual, we will start with our weekend. It can be from any game across any league. Narv, who was your super sub of the weekend?
Um, so for this weekend, I actually have two. I'll do one from Premier League and one from outside. Premier League, unfortunately, I'll have to say super sub was Eze from Crystal Palace. I was surprised he was even in the lineup because I think there were like rumors going that he was hurt. But he's still
Hmm.
included in the squad. Wasn't really supposed to play, but he came on and kind of changed the game for them offensively. Um, but around the league, I'll say Dusan Blahovic. Um, he's kind of been favored out of the Juve squad, kind of had fallen out with the fans, but he came on and granted it was versus an Empoli team, but the goal he scored in the 90th minute was just ridiculous and it kind of still shows like how much quality he has and like if he is transferred like some whoever buys him is going to be getting a quality striker.
Hmm. It's a good shout out. Funny enough, I also had Eze as my super sub of the week. Because I thought in the first half, y'all were slightly the more dominant team for sure, had more of the chances as well. So he kind of came on, uh, changed the game. He didn't get the assist, but like ultimately he hit a couple crosses. He even like essentially out dribbled your entire team.
He was moving
Um,
mad.
it's crazy with ease, but um, yeah, he was my super sub of the week within the Premier League. And then within uh like other leagues, I would say I'd also go to Serie A. Roma Napoli, they ended up tying, but at a very late goal. But I would actually give the super sub to the assister of that game, um, Alexis Salamakers. He came off the bench, and he created the most chances in the game, and he came on with like 30 minutes left as well. Uh, he had the assist to Angelino at the end, but I thought just like the way he was able to cause Napoli um, trouble, which was surprising because Napoli's been a very good defensive team. Um, but yeah, he would be my kind of super sub. Uh, although, like, Di Lorenzo, he is the captain and everything for Napoli and like the starter for Italy in that right back spot. But I do think he's the one, like, kind of weak link in the back for both Italy and Napoli.
He's kind of just really relying on his pace.
Yeah.
Um,
But he's also like getting a little older and like his pace is kind of off. Um,
Kind of like the Kyle Walker, like can't really rely on it too much.
yeah, exactly. I guess like going forward, he is still pretty good, but um, I don't know, defensively, especially in like a system with Antonio Conte, I'm not a huge fan of his like defensive game.
Yeah, they don't have the best of options to kind of cover for him though.
Yeah, but on the other side, like Spinazzola, I know we had given him a shout out, but he's been eating this year, and he's kind of like I know he's only gotten on the score sheet a couple of times this year, but he's like the perfect profile for Conte on that left side.
Hmm.
But let's go on to let's do a few of the Premier League games. We won't touch on every game. A lot of the games were in the same exact window, but we'll try to cover the bigger ones that we were able to catch. So, start with the first one of the day on Saturday. Nottingham thrashing Brighton 7-0. Uh, I guess what were your biggest takeaways from this game?
Um, Biggest takeaway was, I mean, Forest, they're the real deal. I think at this stage of the season, like where you are at the table, it doesn't really lie. Um, so Forest, they definitely showed why they're a top four team. Um, and then I think this was also a game where it really shows the importance of Carlos Baleba for Brighton because Hinshelwood, him at the six was not it. Um, and it's hard versus a Nottingham team filled with like lethal threats going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nottingham looked really good and kind of bounced back from that Bournemouth loss. Um, but I think this was more Brighton uh, not setting up well. I know he tried to make the change at halftime, but when he started the game with Hinshelwood and uh, essentially kind of like Pedro playing in the midfield, but I mean, you need another center mid in there.
He had Jorginho Ruter in the center mid too, and
He, he's
him and Pedro are almost the same profile.
exactly, and they're both like very attack minded, and like in the first half, you just saw how easy it was for Nottingham to just like just run through that Brighton midfield. It was like diarrhea just going straight through. Like I
Hmm.
felt bad for Hinshelwood, because it's not like I mean, he did have a bad game, but like it was just him in the midfield versus three others. Like that's just a disaster class. And I guess they did try to make the change at a halftime. He brought on that Matt O'Reilly guy, and th that was like kind of the main guy he brought on to kind of shore up the midfield a little for João Pedro. And then um, I don't know. I don't know why he took out Matoma, but that was kind of a like for like switch out in the wing. But
Mitoma was pretty quiet this game.
he was, yeah. But I mean, I guess he did recognize like, yeah, midfield was an issue. He made a mistake. And even like 3-0, they were creating a lot of chances to open that second half. But uh, once Forrest scored that fourth goal in the second half, it was basically over. Because I mean, uh, if you really think about it, Brighton was like the main attacking force in that second half until like the 65th minute when Nottingham scored on the break.
Yeah. And I know Chris Wood got the Hattie. Shout outs to Chris Wood.
Hmm.
Um, but I think Alonga really was the player of the match. He had a Hattie assist, but he was a constant threat. And I was a little worried for Forrest when Hudson Odoi was out. I don't know how long he's out for, but I thought that would affect the team because he's been pretty vital to their attack. But Forrest
Hmm.
has they still looked lethal. I thought it was nice seeing Danilo back from his crazy injury from the start of the year, but I thought he was probably the only player on Forest that um he had an okay game, but he definitely looked a little rusty.
Yeah. Um, I can't really point out to anyone in Nottingham that really looked bad.
Hmm.
But I will say the 7-0, yeah, it wasn't a true reflection, I feel like, because even Brighton, when they were down 2-0, they had their chances. Maybe it was Ruter or someone that was one-on-one with Sells, and Sells made a crazy save. Um, right before half, Welbeck also had another shot that Sells saved and hit the crossbar and like was
That
probably like half an
yeah.
inch from like being fully crossing the line. So they had their chances, and I mean, second half, Brighton were the dominant team, and once you're 4-0 down, like your whole morale goes down. So
Mhm.
it's kind of GG after that. Um,
Yeah, it was just disappointing because this was the 7:30 game, which I thought would have been probably the game of the day.
hmm But yeah, you made a great point with Baliba. I think a combination of just you have one more midfielder in there, and then especially if you have Baliba, that probably completely changes the game around.
Yeah, because he covers so much field.
hmm
Um, I do feel like after the match, when you look at player ratings, I feel bad. Brighton's goalkeeper Verbruggen, he got like a 3.4, but honestly, all seven goals were kind of unstoppable. Um,
Yeah. Um, so not much else on my end to cover for this one. So let's move on to one of the games from the next window. I think the biggest one of the weekend, which was Bournemouth versus Liverpool. Liverpool ended up winning 2-0 thanks to two goals from Mohamed Salah. Um,
Not an easy win.
no, and I can start here. I thought Bournemouth played really well. For the most part, I thought Kirkez versus uh, Salah was a pretty good matchup. He kind of had him on straps most of the game. Um, Clivert continued to look very good. He's really grown to his own this year. But he looked really good. He did have that one crazy miss, but um, so he was the one kind of the main guy creating chances for Bournemouth.
I felt bad when he missed because it was literally 2 minutes later after he missed. Salah
hmm
got his second goal, and it was one of those where like it was almost reminiscent of his goal versus Everton, where he had no option, but he just like casually curls it.
Yeah.
Um, but I was impressed with Bournemouth too. I thought they looked really good. Bit unfortunate with the result. I think what was it? First half, Semenyo hit the post.
hmm
Um, he's a baller too. Uh, Even playing the false nine for Ouattara, he was honestly giving Van Dijk a little trouble. Um, I thought so. I think Bournemouth should be pretty proud with their performance.
Yeah, I mean, they did not let their head down, and it kind of felt like they were going to get an equalizer at any minute. Um, I mean, there was that one. Brooks had that goal that got called back because Kirk has like crossed it and it was offsides, but like that was like 5 minutes after Salah's goal. I mean, they did not put their head down at all. But one player, I mean, obviously Kluivert's the easy one to talk about, but another player that's really impressed me, not just this game, but the season so far since he's come on, is Tyler Adams. Liverpool has probably the best midfield in the league right now, the three of them, but uh, Tyler Adams, he's just like the ultimate destructor um, of a midfield, but he does play a little risky at times with like how aggressive he is, but dude, he's the dog of that midfield.
He does not back down to any challenge.
No, I'm hyped to see him like represent the US in the World Cup.
I am a little worried for Bournemouth because they do have so many injuries. Um, and I think that held them back. I mean, Liverpool, they're really strong, but Bournemouth didn't really have many options to turn to on their bench other than Tavernier.
Yeah. And then that Jebsen guy, he's been getting some minutes just because they don't really have a striker, but I don't really know much about him. But like even starting wise, yeah, to your point, it's like Otoro's been doing pretty well filling in as a striker, but like still it's they need a legit striker. Um yeah, Evan Nilsson's a huge miss right now.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people were saying Evan Nielsen hasn't got the goals, but he's a constant nuisance. And he was starting to get on the score sheet. Like later on, but he's a big miss, and then obviously even NS Unal being out for the year, big miss.
Hmm. Yeah, well, he tore his ACL like in training, right?
Yeah, training session. Those are the worst.
Um, but let's move on from that game. We don't really need to touch on any other games on Saturday. One of the biggest upsets was probably Wolves on Villa, considering the form of those te two teams. Um,
I did get chills though when Cunha got his goal. He's like, here to stay.
oh, to kind of like seal the win at the end.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, Even before the game, he was doing gestures, right, of like kind of like
Yeah.
the pen signing, and
Hmm.
yeah, it was definitely compared to his goal versus United from the free kick, like where he was like surfing. I was like, bro, what type of celebration is that? But
Yeah.
this one was elite.
And then just two other games I wanted to touch on just because they're kind of important relegation battle. Um, Everton demolished Leicester 4-0. Um, One of the worst strikers in the league bagged two goals, Beto. And then
I know Manchester United fans laughing about that, but he would be top of the depth chart for y'all.
at this point probably. And then the other relegation battle, this one was a big uh killer for Ipswich, but they took a L to Southampton. Um they lost 2-1. So that was those two games are crucial relegation wise because I think Ipswich they could have been tied or like let me look at the table. Yeah, Ipswich could have been tied with Wolves at 17, but down on goal differential. But they're hanging around 19th, so that was a big loss for them.
Yeah, those are some good shouts. But yeah, Beto, man, what a game, man.
He get he
Two,
he gets clowned a lot.
he
Whenever I look.
does. Um, but two assists from one from Pickford and one Tarkowski's assist to him was insane. That through ball, I was like, damn, that's like a midfield
Yeah,
pass.
I didn't know you had that in your locker.
And then across other leagues, let's see. Atletico Madrid, they've been somewhat in a slump, but they were able to get the dub and close the gap on Real Madrid, who shocking defeat to Espanyol. Um,
Very
Real
controversial stuff though that game. That Romero guy should have been sent off.
or the tackle on Mbappe.
Mhm.
Um, I think my biggest takeaway though is Rudiger, man. He went off early into that game, and I don't think it was even his knee this time. It was his his hammy. I think it's just because he's been playing with a bad knee for so long. He's been compensating it with his hammy, and so that's gone. So they're kind of in trouble in the back, especially with the transfer window closed and they didn't make any moves.
Yeah, so Rudiger is confirmed he's out for minimum a month. Um, and then they had Alaba coming back from injury, and then he apparently just yesterday got re-injured at training or something, so he's out for another month.
Yeah, it's tragic back there. So like today, I think they played Tchouaméni in the back in the Copa del Rey. But I'm kind of a fan of that one kid, Asensio.
Hmm.
Uh, he's young, but I love his aggressive kind of nature, and he's actually pretty decent playing it at the back.
We'll see if that Jesus Vallejo guy gets to play. I feel like he's been on this
He-
Madrid team forever, but like barely makes appearances.
Oh yeah. Even today, I don't think he did he come on today? I don't think so.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think so.
yeah, that Ramon guy played who came up from Madrid's academy, but like it's a young center back pairing, both 20.
Mm.
But let's move on to Sunday. Where to start here? Let's start with United Palace.
Oh God, get the misery out the way.
Get it out the way. I'll go first. Usually I feel like you cover United,
Yeah,
but so
let's switch it up. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
I'll go first for here. I thought the
Be
first
brutally honest.
yeah, I thought the first 10, 15 minutes uh was very interesting. Mainu playing up top. I know you told me after your midweek game where did Mainu have a goal or assist?
He had a
Was
goal
it
in it, but he had both.
in the Europa League, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, and you're like, "Oh, I like that." And I was like, "Bro, let's see." First 15 minutes, I was like, "Damn, is Narvin onto something?" Like he was looking kind of like, "Yo, we're looking decent." But then after that first 15, I was like, "Yeah, this is garbage." No one really stood out to me. This was probably Garnacho, man. Like I feel like he's gotten Amarin's trust now. But he looked really poor. Um, and it was kind of sad seeing him against uh up against like Muniz and Chris Richards, where you would probably try to back yourself against those guys, but um, he was pretty poor. Uh, and then there just wasn't really any creativity from y'all's end. Um, Early on, Garnacho did miss a pretty easy chance that he kind of skied over, but Palace again, they were just sitting back. They weren't really creating many chances either. That first half. But then the second half, again, like when Eze came on, he completely turned that midfield around. Um, that Kamada guy, he looked pretty poor again. He was pretty lost throughout the game. Um, like I don't even remember how many touches he even had. Um, but Eze just completely changed that game. Um, and the only two players that I think were somewhat positive was Bruno Fernandes. He was spraying passes kind of all over the field. Um, and the only guy that had like a positive, like looking up to go attack mentality. And then Diallo, just him taking on players. He has a more sense of urgency compared to like Garnacho. Garnacho's like first thoughts always to kind of pass back to Dallo, and it's quite frustrating. Like, hey, you need to take on your players once or twice, but or even like cut in. He's always looking to go across the touchline, but yeah. And then that first goal happened, um, which again,
JP, Jean-Philippe.
Jean-Philippe. And I know like you guys haven't done well defending set pieces, but again, that came from a pretty senseless foul. I forget who was the one to.
I think it was
Um,
Ugarte.
you got to, okay, yeah. It was like in the midfield. Guy was facing his own net, like stupid foul. And then the second goal, again, I forget exactly who gave it away, but it was a very simple pass. Y'all made a mistake.
Harry
Um,
Maguire was a bit sleepy that goal because everyone was pushed up for the offside trap and he was kind of not alert to it.
yeah, but it was also like a classic just counter. It's kind of difficult when you're kind of throwing everybody up front, but um, yeah, I think just poor mistakes. You guys still are struggling to create chances too.
Oh, it was painful offensively.
Yeah,
Apart from that first 10 minutes when Manu hit the post. Um, Jefferson Lerma moving out there like Pirlo in the midfield. Like what? Um, yeah, it's just frustrating. Um, yeah, Manu like Europa, he played more in that inverted 10, like where Garnacho was playing, and he was looking really good there midweek, but
hmm
he ended up playing the false nine this game. And I think that shows like you know how like this might be a terrible analogy, but like homeless people when they're out there with like a sign, basically begging for money.
Yeah.
I think Amram playing Manu at the false nine was basically like
Mm,
give me like begging for like a striker. I
yeah.
think he's trying to send a message out there. Um, so this game, yeah, that first goal, that free kick, text you right away. I was like, nothing new, another set piece conceded. For as tall as Lenny Euro was, he should have dealt with it so much better. Um, and then just man, we're gonna be in trouble without Lissandro Martinez. Prayers up to him toward his ACL, his other ACL this time. So
Y'all got off the hook because he wasn't really
nah,
fouled
nah, nah, nah,
either.
nah,
He
nah.
was
I
not
look.
fouled.
He got pushed a little bit when you
Dude,
got
it
arm
was
on your back push.
soft. It was
It would be it
soft.
is a little soft, but it is a
If
foul
they
regardless.
VAR, dude, if he had not torn his ACL, he probably wouldn't have fallen on
Hey,
the
show the
ground
man some
crying.
sympathy,
Dude,
bro.
that
He tore his
man,
ACL.
that
It looked
man.
terrible.
Oh yeah, his knee did buckle, but like it wasn't. He barely got touched, dude.
He got,
Oh
but it's
my
a foul.
God.
It get
No, not,
trust
dude.
me.
The league's gone, bro. What is this? The sport is
No.
gone if that's a foul. I
Yeah,
was
he got
shook.
pushed slightly. Yeah, another frustrating game. Hoyland, he had his cameo. What minute did he come on? Like 70th minute? He had 20 minutes to do something. He did nothing. Xerxes, he was terrible passes. Hoyland, um, I think me and you texted each other at the same exact time when he had that one touch. I forget. I think Erickson played a long ball right to his feet, and then his
Yeah.
touch sent the ball backwards like 10 yards to Palace. I was like,
Hmm.
bro, um, that's like basic, like getting your touch right.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, dude. Like,
Do you think Amarin should change his system and
no, 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 no,
now and just like salvage the season because
nah. Because I think that's exactly what he said at this very start was like, we're gonna suffer this year. Um,
Mhm.
but he'd rather stick to his philosophy and system and just
Bec-
suffer this year so we learn from it and not have to suffer next year by like if we revert and just go for wins but throw away his system, then we're gonna still struggle next year.
but I feel like as a fan, like aren't you frustrated? Like especially like you're basically saying like this season doesn't even matter because you could still salvage the season winning games because first off, y'all are pretty close to a relegation battle. Um, and you could still, I mean, yeah, you guys are in financial trouble, da da da, but to be out of financial trouble, you need to win some games. Higher spot you are, the more money you get.
Hey, all
You
I'm
can still
saying,
winning the FA Cup, you get money. If you win the Europa League and go to Champions League, like there, like your season is saved. Glory Man United there.
all I'm saying is I think a lot of main United fans asked for this coming with Ten Hag. With Ten Hag, we never saw a system. He kind of threw his philosophy out the window early in the year, and I think this is a complete different manager where he's really like I guess stubborn's a word, but like he'll stick to his guns. Um, and I think like Amram, I think we just have to stick to it. Um,
Yeah, but I think like he should kind of adapt, especially with the players he has. Like a lot of these players do not fit his profile, so like why not try to salvage the season, try to make some money and salvage the season at least. And once you have the summer, get the players you need and kind of work and then kind of implement your system. Because you're basically you go into every game, it's like, yeah, today's more likely than not you guys will probably lose.
I think, and I'm sure we'll touch on transfers later,
Hmm.
but um, I think the way we're playing it out is we're just throwing the Premier League at least out the window and just relying on FA Cup and Europa.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's you guys are basically calling it quits for the season, but even then, FA Cup, you guys are if you guys win the FA Cup or even get bro, no way, bro. And Europa League, y'all have a chance with Europa League. Is that what you're claiming?
I'm not saying no, I'm saying that's what we're just shooting for. Like we're
Yeah,
just
there.
throwing the league out the window and just I think we're just putting our focus on Europa and
Oh
FA Cup.
God, yeah. I want what y'all are smoking, bro. Cause, dude, season's over. Pack
Oh
up the
yeah.
suitcase. It's Caribbean time, bro.
Hmm.
But yeah, rest in peace to Martinez though.
Yeah,
Um,
I was yeah, that Sunday I was fully depressed,
two
especially
torn
after Martinez.
ACLs. Yeah, it's a it's a clapback for his dirty tackles.
It's
But I
gonna
mean,
be
that's tough to come back from two ACLs.
we're gonna have to be throwing the youngsters like straight into this like crap
Hmm.
now. Um, Goodwill Konkongi or Aiden Heaven, I think will probably have to step in because they're both left-footed center backs.
Yeah, and y'all better not because I've been seeing some talks of like, ooh, is Amarin like under trouble and stuff like that, like for his job.
That's
And
yeah,
yeah, I feel like
crazy.
if you guys let him like y'all are a clown club, if you guys aren't already.
Hmm.
Um, especially with like if you fire Amarin, it's like some of these transfers that you guys made is like specific just for Amarin's system, like that left back. So it'd be
Yeah.
like a waste to like even have gotten him.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, with Martinez, is it because two ACL injuries are hard to come back from? Is it time for pack the empanadas in the bag?
Bro. Yeah, I'm not even laughing. It's you know how much I
And
love Leisha.
yeah, WWE superstar. He can join Speed on a Royal Rumble. Um, but yeah, let's move on from that game and go to what was supposed to be the biggest one um, between Arsenal and Man City. Uh, this one, dude, Holland, pack the sardines in the bag, bro.
Nah, you can't
Pack
say
the
just you
sardines in
can't
the
just say
bag.
Holland, bro.
9 touches. What do we
That's
say the
all you
over?
focus on.
We said 20. I mean, it is a big one when you are Ballon d'Or type player. Like everyone hypes you up to be a Ballon d'Or player. Um, the best player in the world. You have to be able to change the game.
He's
And when you're
surrounded.
not,
His midfield is engined by Gramps.
bro, but if you watch today's game with Isak and the way he's able to drop in and provide so much more, we'll get to that game. But anyways, uh, Arsenal 5-1. I don't think you could have asked for a better start for Arsenal scoring within like the first minute and a half of that game. Um,
Hmm.
once they did that, it was classic boring Arsenal where they just kind of defend really well. And I don't think at any point it seemed like they were going to lose the game.
No, not really. Um, well, I thought like City might have caused him trouble when is a few minutes later when Havertz missed a wide open goal.
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, oh, is this gonna come back to haunt him? But nah, not at all.
Yeah, I think City they just Arsenal just controlled that game and like when even when City did get the goal, it kind of reminded me of Watkins' goal this year versus Arsenal where um that header it's just like they just kind of lost their man. But Arsenal they got kind of lucky with that party goal um with the deflection,
Oh yeah,
but even then it's like I couldn't really see where City was gonna grab their goals from. Uh
Phil Foden had an absolute stinker.
Yeah, he did see the ball a lot more. But he made a couple errors that led to the Arsenal goal.
Even usually I'll give goalkeepers leeway, but Ortega had a stinker too. he had a horror show. So he's kind of good, like him and he's not to the level of Ederson, but he's still pretty good playing out the back. But he was putting his team under pressure. I think one of the goals was kind of on him giving the ball away.
Yeah,
Um,
in
or it
both
led to a
this,
chance. Yeah.
yeah, and one of the goals like hit his hand basically. It was just like a weak hand.
Oh, the Lewis Skelly one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I guess it was kind of close range, but still, he had to get a better hand on that.
Hmm.
Uh, but even then, it's Arsenal. They did a really good job of like you could see the way they defend. They're very tactical in when to press, and it was like every time Stones or Akanji got the ball, that like press like automatically triggered, and they did that so well, and it cost City ultimately like that opening goal was coming from that press.
Yeah. Um, it was funny to see all the trolling and shithousery going on. Like Gabriel celebrating Holland's face and then Lewis Skelly pulling out the Holland Selly. But Arsenal fans are kind of weird. Like they're all like, stay humble, like the clap back at Holland. But I was like,
Hmm.
this is the first time y'all beat City in like ages. And it's like City at their worst. Like, calm
Yeah.
down.
I think Arsenal, they just fans and players it rubs off on. They think they're like a top team in the world and stuff like at City's
Uh-huh.
level, but it's like now you guys are at City's level because like City has dropped off so much.
Hmm.
Um,
I think the two players that were decent for City though were Savinho,
hmm.
uh, and then Bardiol. I thought he at least going forward looked pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he was the best player for City for sure.
Um, but yeah, well, let's be real. Like, I think Arsenal would have that's Partey goal really kind of changed it because it was literally like 2 minutes after Holland's goal.
Hmm.
Um, so I think if City could have held it to 1-1 for a little while, Arsenal
Just
fans
gained
could have got
momentum.
yeah.
Yeah, especially with like Foden played bad and gave that ball away, but like if they brought on De Bruyne in like the 70th minute or so. But if yeah, to your point, if they held it 1-1, like and brought on De Bruyne when it was 1-1,
Hmm.
things could have definitely been different.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Foden this year. He has not been the same. He has not been the PFA Player of the Year caliber player at all this year.
No. And then Marmoush too, he against us, he looked really good, and he kind of like came off of like he was kind of like a striker slash like coming off like the left side. But he looked pretty poor this game, just down the middle. He was
Yeah,
also strolling around non-existent.
he was pretty off this game. But I think he's gonna be a player that really grows into his system. Um, he's so versatile, so I think he's a good addition. Um, and again, we'll touch on transfers later, but City been moving mad this window.
Oh yeah.
So
But again, I feel like Saliba and Gabriel, they look forward to this game going up against Haaland. Um, but again, I think they came out on top on this one.
mhm.
Every duel uh, between like if it was typically Gabriel dueling with Haaland, but even Saliba, I think it was once or twice, like every header, it was those defenders winning every single 50-50.
Yeah, they were pretty comfortable throughout the entire game. And then shout out to Ethan Waneri. That goal was pretty wild. He didn't really have he didn't really get that much playing time, but when he came on, he made like instant impact. I mean, game was already gone, but like getting on the score sheet right away, that was pretty unstoppable.
Yeah, one player that I was expecting a little bit more. Um, was the player that Ethan Wary came on for, Trossard, especially going up against Nunez. Um,
Mm.
I thought he was going to be cooking all day and maybe even getting a goal or assist, but uh, He was actually like he did get a few successful dribbles past Nunez, but um, I thought that was a player that was going to be kind of the difference maker
Yeah, he was
this one.
relatively quiet.
Hmm but I don't
I
think
don't,
anyone expected a 5-1
no, not at all.
game.
Um, I don't get the obsession with playing Nunez out there and right back. He just does not look comfortable. Granted, it's not a position he's familiar with.
Yeah, but I don't really know like from Pep's team who you would put out there um, over Nunez.
That's true. Maybe Rico Lewis, but
Yeah, but even he struggled this year
mhm.
playing right back.
Yeah.
But another big game can move on from this one was Inter versus Milan, the Milan Derby. So what did you think about this one? Ended up being 1-1. Um,
It should have been a lot
Inter
more.
scoring late.
Yeah. I thought it should have been a lot more Inter's way. Hit the post twice. They scored twice, both got called back for offsides. Like Inter was clearly the dominant team. Um, so I think I think they should have got the dub, but they'll take
Hmm
the draw, only 3 points behind Napoli with the game in hand still. Um, and that could have been another super sub was Zoliski, who they got from Roma, got the assist to, out of all people, De Vrij. Um, but yeah, Inter, I think this was the team I said was going to be the most threatening in the Champions League apart from Liverpool.
Yeah, and that Zaleski guy, he was pretty young too.
Hmm.
And I think he played at Roma even
Yeah.
before, but um, yeah, I agree. I think Inter was definitely the more dominant team on the front foot, but yeah, Milan, they just kind of the whole second half, they kind of just defended for their lives. And you could see the coach Cancel like freaking out every time too many players were like on attack for AC Milan. He didn't want to get like countered or anything.
Yeah, it was entertaining to watch because both managers are they kind of really get into the game, so just seeing them uh giving directions and stuff to their team. And then it was also really cool seeing Francisco Camarda for AC Milan getting playing time. This kid's only 16. Um, he doesn't look like it, but pretty crazy. Like just
Hmm
imagining someone at that age playing at this level.
But yeah, two players I needed to give a shout out to as well was Tomori and Pavlovic. They were kind of written off this year. They kind of started the season together, and that was a pairing that I was really excited to watch. I think both those defenders are great, but then they were kind of dropped from the team and stuff. And with Kansasao taking over, they've been given their chance again, and they were standout. The tackles they were making, because against another center back pairing, I think Inter definitely could have gotten through much easier, even though they did get unlucky at times.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good shout. Um, I guess you gave shouts on the AC Milan side, the Inter side. This game I'll give a shout out to Benjamin Pavard. He I thought he had a really solid game. He made one challenge that looked like a PK at first, but a really good last ditch tackle. And then um I think Marcus Thuram, he had a really good game. Had the most chances created in the game.
Hmm
Uh he just needs to get more involved in the score sheet, but he's a constant threat.
And then you can't leave out. I thought the best player for Inter was Lautaro Martinez, though.
Yeah.
Um, I love the way he plays, and that would be like a player that at Manchester United you guys could use. Um,
Mhm.
he would be so versatile playing anywhere across your front three.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's a really quality. He got unlucky. His offside call was so tight.
Oh yeah, and then uh, AC Milan they played today as well, and they ended up winning. Um, but the score was João Felix. He scored within like 10 minutes of him coming on. But it's kind of funny to see them play. It's just like a bunch of ex-Chelsea players with like him, Tammy Abraham, Pulisic, Tomori, and I know Loftus-Cheek has been out for a while, but um, like all those guys
Hmm.
coming from Chelsea. Were there any other games from? Oh, and then I guess from Sunday, this was actually the first Ligue 1 game that I was able to really catch from beginning to end. Um, First half, I was like, "Yep, this is exactly why I don't watch Ligue 1 games. Quality was so poor." Um, but then, dude, uh, that second half was insane. Um, I think after that first goal by Tolisso, everything just kind of blew up, and it was just like end to end, so entertaining,
Pure chaos. Both on
chaos,
the
and
field and the fans, like just chaos
yeah.
everywhere.
Dude, I knew French fans are like crazy, but
Hmm.
like I did not expect the environment to be like that. I think they have some of the best fans.
Yeah, I think it's debatable between France or Turkey. Turkey got some
Oh,
wild fans
Yeah, they're
too.
insane. But out of the top five, for sure, France.
Yeah.
And then I guess they're kind of like rivals too, Marseille and Lyon.
I think yeah, they have a bit of a history. Um, my Marseille boys, they're my therapy session after United losses. Although it kills me a bit more every time I see Greenwood just putting up these type of performances. Another player that if he stayed would have been really useful. Uh, but it's also really funny just watching Marseille because they're kind of like a team of convicts and like this
Rejects.
super
Yeah.
evil team. Yeah. Like you got Greenwood, um, Wahi, he's on the bench. He was ex-con. They
Hmm.
got I forget who else on there who's ex-con, and then Neil Mope. He's like the most dislikable player in the world. So it's like the super evil team.
Yeah, one player that's really interested me while watching this game was Rabiot.
Mhm.
Um, like if you look at the way he plays now versus I guess really his entire career, I don't know if this is just like a one-off game. I was trying to look at some of his heat map from previous games at Marseille. Um, and it does look like he kind of plays in this area, but he definitely looks much more like advanced compared
Yeah.
to like his Juve days or PSG where he was kind of just in the midfield. Like
Mhm.
it's interesting to see him closer to the box.
Yeah, it's definitely something new. As you mentioned, he kind of played deeper in that midfield, almost box to box, but yeah, and it seems like it kind of suits him too now, that advanced
Hmm.
role.
Yeah, I don't think for him to play in like the French World Cup team, like that squad, I don't think he'll see the field at all playing in this type of role though.
No, they got way too much talent there.
Yeah. Were there any other games from this weekend that you wanted to touch on?
Uh, we got to touch on Anthony, man of the match on his debut for Real Betis. Got the tie versus Athletic Club. Um, yeah, it's funny, just Anthony making debut and getting man of the match. Uh, but it's crazy still, Isco at this age, 32, still being like
Hmm.
such a crucial piece to that team. Um,
His career has really been revived under Pellegrini, and I feel like he's always kind of like even at Real Madrid, he kind of never reached his full potential. But it's something with like Pellegrini that Isco has done really well with like throughout his entire career.
Hmm.
Because he had Pellegrini at Valencia, right? Or I forget where him and Pellegrini played together before.
Yeah, I know they were together. I forget which team though.
Or Malaga, yeah.
Hmm.
That's where they were together before he made that Real move. But yeah, we can move on to, I guess, talk about some of the transfers
Oh,
that
sorry. You
happened.
want to touch on your boys from Monday?
Oh, that's right. So we played West Ham, ended up getting the win 2-1. Um, Surprisingly, we weren't the first ones to score uh, during the match. Jared Bowen got it right before half. Um, but I think we did ultimately deserve to win the game. We were the more dominant team. But the biggest takeaway from me was just how poor Jadon Sancho was. Yeah, I think I don't know what it is. He had like a really good start with us. Um, I would say for maybe the first um, 4 games, so maybe a month. But then he had a slight injury, but it wasn't anything big, and he just has not looked good. Um, and yeah, I don't know. His decision making at times isn't good, and he just doesn't have that like um I don't know, his mindset's just a little weird. So I don't know what it is like at Dortmund he always eats. So I think it might just be something with the Bundesliga, dude. I think you're right.
Hmm.
Um, because he's been frustrating me. But yeah, Pedro Neto, when he came on, he was an absolute difference maker. Um,
So direct.
oh yeah.
It's just a matter of staying healthy or not for him.
And then Colwell was very stinky this game. Made a couple errors, one leading to a goal.
Y'all's goalkeeper rotation, that was done on just to give Mr. Lightskin a rest or purpose just because of the performances?
Probably performance. Yeah, goalkeepers don't need rest. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was thinking. Because I didn't hear any like press conference stuff or anything on. Because I know Maresca's gone out there before and say like, Casado's made mistakes, Enzo's made mistakes, but
hmm
so why can't goalkeepers make mistakes? It's like, bro,
Yeah.
it's not the same.
Especially the types of mistakes he makes that like
Yeah.
leads directly to goals.
Mhm.
Um, and then yeah, not much else otherwise. I thought this was one of Cole Palmer's better games where uh he was kind of creating all the chances for us. He had a couple really poor finishes that he would probably bag on his days, but um, and then something about Nicholas Jackson looked a little off. I don't know if he's hurt. He pulled up with his hammy pretty early on into the game, but he got subbed out around like the 50th minute. But he looked kind of poor. Just not interested in the game.
I thought his link-up play was still pretty good, but
hmm There's just something. He just seemed a little off, especially from the
Mhm.
start of the season.
Gotcha. Yeah, so Graham Potter couldn't get his revenge, but it was nice to see Bowen finally back from his injury and grabbing a goal.
Oh yeah, good for him. And even Kudus, he takes a lot of risks though. Even from like his own near his own box, he tried to or he successfully nutmegged. Who was it? It might have been Madueke. He just nutmegged. I was
Uh-huh.
like, right outside of his own box.
Yeah,
Insane.
he's entertaining to watch.
Yeah. But yeah, now we can move on to some transfers that have happened in the Premier League. players. I guess we can start with like United. Has United made any transfers, I guess?
No, and it's been disappointing. And that's why I said I think season wise, like Premier League wise, we've Ineos. They're very questionable people, I'll have to say. Only people we got in was Patrick Dorgu from Leeds, youngster, and then another youngster we got from Arsenal, Aiden Heaven.
Hmm.
Um, but Ineos, very questionable decision makers. Uh, Dan Ashworth they brought in, sacked him 2 months later. The whole Eric Ten Hag debacle, giving him a contract extension, then sacking him like literally a month later. So that's a ton of money down the drain.
Hmm.
And then we've loaned out Sancho to you guys. We
Hmm.
loaned out Anthony this window. We loaned out, we'll touch on also Marcus Rashford this window. So that's three players who are very high in wages. And Matthias Tell, who we'll touch on, was literally twerking for us, only wanted us.
Interesting.
And we had an option of getting him on loan with no obligation to buy, and it was only going to cost us 5 million, and we said no, we can't afford it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Um, so it's been disappointing just to see that Amarin's been crying for a striker, especially this last game we just saw. Um, so I think I'm just hoping summer we bring in some like big guns. Um, so we'll see.
Yeah, on the flip side, we can touch on Mateus Tell. It's funny you said he was twerking for y'all because he really was. Tottenham wanted him bad, and it's funny to see Tottenham like see y'all and Tottenham are in the same exact kind of situation, I feel like, but like Tottenham are actually doing stuff about it. Um,
Yeah, I was clowning Tottenham a lot, but they got their business done. Like people they
they
needed.
signed, yeah, exactly. Um, and Mateus Tell ended up going to Tottenham. Over y'all, and like that should have been like an easy player you guys secure, like a quality player. And then they got that Kevin Donso guy as well from Lens. Um, I think on loan, the center back,
Mhm.
especially with Van de Beek, or Van de Beek, um,
Was he in your mind?
Van de Ven. I think he said like he was gonna be on the bench or maybe potentially come on against Brentford, but in training he wasn't. Uh, I guess he said he wasn't feeling right, so they needed a center back bad. In terms of but yeah, so Tottenham they kind of did their business. Y'all aren't doing anything.
It was funny because they were I was clowning them so hard because they were trying to go after Margay, got rejected immediately. Then went after
Tomori,
Tamori, rejected like ASAP, like
and then they went after Disasi,
Disasi
rejected.
rejected immediately. But I mean they just had options like in case those failed, so fair play to them.
Oh yeah, I think the team that had the best transfer window was Villa in the Premier League. They ended up securing that Axel Disasi loan for like 5 mil. You mentioned Marcus Rashford. He's on loan as well, especially after losing what's his name?
John
I've already
Duran.
forgotten John Duran. How do I forget his name? John Duran.
That
For
one was
losing
so controversial, like had so many people in talks about him.
about Duran.
Yeah, like a lot of people were on the fence for like, oh, you just wasted your career going to Saudi to secure the bag. But then if you really look at it, like his upbringing, um,
Yeah,
he's got so much money to cover like for generations to come now.
yeah, and he grew up in a very poor neighborhood, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's a little different. Like it's not like just a regular job because it's something you love. Whereas like people are like they have to do jobs because they need to make money somehow, but it might not be their passion. Whereas like this is like, yeah, it shouldn't be all about money because at some point you're going to be making a lot of money anyways, but like still it is just a job.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Um, and so he's doing it for his family. But yeah, going back to Villa, I mean, Rashford, they got Marco Asensio on loan as well.
Hey.
That's your boy from a minute ago. He's disappeared off the face of this earth.
Yeah,
Um,
the injuries do not help.
um, they got Malin. Obviously, he's made a few cameos, and then uh, right back, Andres Garcia as well.
He made his debut over the weekend, right?
Yep, because Matty Cash was hurt, so that was a good signing. And he looked pretty good. But Rashford, we'll see if Unai Emery can kind of change his form.
Yeah. He it might be a big one because Aston Villa top team, so Thomas Tuchel, he's been scouting like so many games, especially Villa having so many English players and Watkins and Morgan Rogers, who I assume will get called up to England this time around. So yeah, Rashford will have to make his mark.
And then I wanted to touch on our transfer window as well. We've really been net sellers in this window. Um, we ended up selling uh, Casady, our midfielder, to Torino. That was a player that I kind of had high potential for that we'd loan out, but we ended up selling him. I think he really wanted to go back to Italy. Touch on Renata Vega, that's on loan. Thankfully, Carney Chukwuemeka, we didn't sell him, but we did loan him out to Dortmund. Not sure exactly what the fee was there. João Felix, we loaned out for about 6 mil to Milan. Ben Chilwell, do you see where he's at?
Palace.
Yep, on loan. And I think Tyreek Mitchell got hurt versus y'all, so that was like perfect timing. And then
Yeah.
Disasi.
Yeah, João Felix, that was a player I thought United could have loaned because loaning's like never loan with because you said Milan was a loan with no option to buy.
Correct, yep.
Yeah, so like loans with no option to buy is literally no risk. You just
Yeah.
pay a slight fee, and if you like them, then you can make a deal next time around. If you don't like them, then they just go back. Um, yeah, so there's like no risk to those, but hopefully Carney Chukwuemeka lights it up though. I've That's a player I really like from y'all.
Oh yeah. Um, he just wasn't getting playing time. And before his injury where he tore his ACL, he was definitely our best player. And then Cole Palmer kind of took over. And then it's just staying within the Premier League still. I know Willian came back to Fulham as well. Um, and then Saint Maximin, he went to Saudi, but he's back now. He's playing for he played for Fenerbahce for a little, but now he's on loan to Napoli.
I think it collapsed.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, because they couldn't
Oh
get an
no.
agreement. Yeah.
Dude, I was so hyped to see that.
Yeah, it collapsed last minute.
Okay, there was another one that I was interested in. Do you know if it went through? But I'm thinking about watching Marseille a little more because my boy Benacer apparently on loan to
Yeah,
Marseille.
yeah,
That
yeah.
that's
He got
secured.
moved. Uh-huh.
Okay. Um, and then City, they've spent what close to like 200 million this window.
Yeah. They uh they ended up getting a not to the caliber of Rodri, but they got Nico Gonzalez from FC Porto.
Hmm.
Um I don't know much about this player, but just from what I've read and heard is he's a very similar profile to Rodri, obviously not to that level, but Um, he was a Barca reject, and apparently he was actually a player that City were after, like in his when he was in the Barca days when he was like the 14, 15 years old.
Oh wow. Were there any other transfers that you saw that stuck out?
Um, for us, we like I mentioned the three that we loaned out, and then we also were able to loan out uh Malacia. He was kind of high wages. He's back in PSV. Um, Tottenham we touched on. Yeah, and those were really it Premier League wise.
Oh,
Uh,
and I know you just talked about like Nico Gonzalez, right? But
mhm.
um obviously City didn't get Zubamendi. Where is Zubamendi? Did he get a transfer or no?
I think he got it for the summer for Arsenal.
Oh, it's secured?
I don't know if it's secured though yet. I think they're still in talks.
Because isn't the window closed now?
Oh, is it even for summer? Like for summer deals, you have to come do it now?
Oh, no, no. Oh, so they're looking to do it for the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I see, I see.
hmm
Gotcha.
I did see that Chelsea, you guys, I'm not sure about this player either. But from Saint Etienne, he's 19. Um,
Oh, yeah.
8-year contract with him. Um, and then I also saw from Fabrizio's report, Chelsea, because you guys have a child club like Strasbourg, or not child club, but like partner
Like a
club
sister
kind of.
club.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's owned by the same, like it's kind of shady though, people think.
gotcha. There's a player on Strasbourg, Andre Santos, um, that you guys are. I think he's on loan at Strasbourg, but apparently reports are saying he's going to be a very key player for Maresca next year.
Who's that?
Andre Santos, he's at
Oh,
Strasbourg.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, because he was a Chelsea player, and I think yeah, he's been playing for Strasbourg though.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, other transfers, those were really it.
Yeah,
Um,
we've been there was that when Bowley kind of first joined, he literally probably him and some people just like went literally just down to Brazil and just scouted out a bunch of like 14 to 18-year-old Brazilians.
yeah.
It was insane the run they were on. Crazy form. Um, but also West Ham surprisingly they made a couple big transfers. Um, they recalled their loan for James Ward-Prowse. So it'll be interesting with
Oh,
that
thank
locker room.
goodness. I think he could be breaking the starting lineup.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of worried for Paquetá now
He's
because
been so bad this
they've
year.
looked better without him.
hmm
Um, and then they also got Evan Ferguson, so
Oh,
they got a proper striker now.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good deal.
And it wasn't like a permanent deal, but like still on loan, and
hmm
that was a player that Graham Potter and his staff kind of recruited.
Oh wow. Um, I did see. Did Fulham end up getting Samuel Chukwueze? I forget. I think they were in talks with him. No,
No, I don't.
they
No,
didn't
I
end
don't
up
think
getting him.
so. No.
I will say two really funny transfers. Because this player I didn't even realize was still playing. He was kind of nice at Watford days, but Emmanuel Dennis, he's at Forest, but he got transferred to Blackburn Rovers. Um,
Mm.
but I thought the funniest transfer, just for pricing wise, was so you know how Juventus sold Dean Huijsen for 15 mil to
Hmm.
Bournemouth? Juventus this window ended up signing Lloyd Kelly for 20 mil.
Jeez.
Crazy.
Yeah, they fumbled that one. I think they were trying to get Hoyson again, right? Like buy him back.
Yeah, but then they would have lost, like, well, technically lost
Yeah.
money. Yeah, because it's.
And another funny transfer was Mario Lamina. Um, he went from being like the captain and like starter for Wolves, and then after that one like fight he had after taking the L, I forget who they played. Um,
Ipswich.
was it Ipswich? He got in like a
Yeah.
fist fight, and then yeah, he got shipped off. Now he's sold to Galatasaray. They said see ya,
Oh wow.
and ever since that fight, he never saw the field.
Wow. Because he was like, yeah, as you mentioned, captain every game.
Hmm.
Um, wow.
And speaking of players that
Sorry, one last transfer.
yeah.
Palace also really excited for Romain Essay
Oh yeah, we did
from
see
Millwall.
we've seen a cameo of him.
Yeah, he's very Elise vibes, but doesn't have quite the final product yet.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good shout because we haven't talked about him. We've had a couple episodes since that.
Hmm.
Um, and he actually scored the kind of that one goal versus who was it? Because he already got it on the score sheet, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, within like a few minutes of coming on. Who'd they play?
Wait, let me look back on that one. Uh, Brentford. Yep.
That's right.
So, although they lost that game, but yeah, he was the one to get that goal. Um, yeah, I think that's all the like big transfer news. And then also, I don't know if you saw what Ancelotti said, but he said this is his last year with Real Madrid.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that man's donezo. He
I
said he wants to coach still, but not
okay.
Real Madrid.
Okay. This was just recent.
Yeah, like 2 days ago.
Wow, because just last week he said he's gonna retire once, because Fiorentino Perez is gonna be stepping down as president in like 3 years, I think.
Uh,
So he wanted to retire when Perez stepped down, but
where do you
wow.
think he's going?
From a lot of rumors from like past years was like he the national team for Brazil. So I wonder if um Brazil might suit him.
Yeah, I think he's going back to international, or he's gonna go into the international scene, or I could see him going somewhere within Italy again.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good shout.
Maybe take that Roma job.
They've had such a carousel of managers.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then, did you want to touch quickly on the game from today?
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't really have too many comments, but yeah, to those listening, Arsenal got knocked out of the
Trophyless season.
Carabao Cup. Hey, they're still in the title race.
Ain't no
Nah, they're
way.
got yeah. There's no way they're winning a title this year. Got knocked out from FA Cup from y'all. Carabao now from Newcastle. Uh, but this is proper round of applause, Isak, bro. That is a true striker performance. But like, I think he's got the best finishing in the world. I thought it was Haaland for the longest, but like, dude, the more I've been watching him this year, I think he's the best. His finishing, and he makes it look so easy. It's like every time upper 90. I'm like, bro, relax.
I still got to edge it to Holland for pure finishing wise, but all
You
around
think
play, I'll
so?
say Isak.
Yeah, I think like the way Haaland was getting the Ballon d'Or hype. If he got, I think Isak should be getting some of that too.
Definitely. Yeah, that I agree with. Yeah.
He was making Saliba look silly on some of these turns today.
I will say Arsenal were disappointing today. They looked bad. And I thought they were going to go for it, but Newcastle looked the more dominant. And the way they were set up, it looked like they were going to just defend, especially with Joe Linton out. Had to go five at the back, but Newcastle looked more the dangerous team throughout the game.
Hmm.
Isak
Agreed.
bullied Saliba. Raya, he was drunk or high, passing it straight to Newcastle. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah. The more I watch Arsenal, I feel like they really think they're a top team, and at times they really think they're like 2009 Tiki Taka Barcelona.
Hmm.
and they can just walk it out from the back. But it's hilarious to see them just not be able to do that. They really think
Yeah,
they're like prime Barca.
yeah, they're not it. So we'll see if Newcastle they'll tomorrow's semis is Liverpool looking to come back, which I think they will versus Tottenham. Um, but Ange always wins a trophy second year, so we'll see if Tottenham goes to the final. Newcastle will be waiting one of them too. So
If Arsenal, if they continue with the trophyless seasons, Ancelotti, perfect timing to maybe take over
what
because
he
he
turned over
can.
around Everton was crazy.
Yeah, can he get Arsenal across the finish line? Maybe.
So we're saying Arteta out,
I don't
uncom.
know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we'll have to see. So yeah, with that, it's been another episode. Before we sign out, big happy birthday to the GOAT, Cristiano Ronaldo.
That's right.
Sweet.
Sweet. He's 40, right?
Yep, 40.
Insane.
Maybe next episode we'll cover some of the comments and stuff he had in his interview, but uh
We should definitely do an episode dedicated to him. Best
oh,
moments.
oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, real quick, just speaking on like the transfers, what do you think was the best transfer videos? I've seen a couple.
Burnley.
Burnley. Uh,
Yeah, the friends and he's like the plane episode and he's like I arrived. And
okay.
yeah.
I was debating between that and the Spurs tell one. Where the guy, there's a meme of him like on the chair about to do bungee jumping and he's scared.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
He's like, "Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something." And then it's like they bring out tells.
Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Oh
But
man.
Burnley, that was class.
Yeah, their transfer announcements are great. Um, but yeah, we'll see what these new transfers can do. Um, but until then, thank you for listening to another